Hey guys, so it's been a while. It's been like a month since I filmed, and I'm so sorry about that. I've been extremely busy with school and with work, but besides the point, today I found some time to film, and I've been meaning to film my next video, and I kind of didn't know what to film, but it's been put on my heart to film like my full entire testimony. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be sharing my full testimony. Now, I shared my testimony once on this channel before, and it was actually my first video on this channel. My testimony, I had a part 1 and a part 2, but I recently just took those ones down because I'm going to be putting this one up. And I'm refilming my testimony because I really held back in the first one. I was very vague. I did not go into detail because I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready to share a lot of the really hard stuff I've been through publicly and online, because anyone can come see this. You know, any one of my family members, anyone from like my past or my high school, or anyone who knows me, friends, can come see this and watch this. And this is like me fully putting myself out there vulnerable with a lot of the harsh things I've been through. And at that period in time when I first filmed my testimony, I was not ready to open up fully and share my full testimony. But now God has worked on me so much that I'm actually ready to share my full testimony. I want to share my full testimony because I now see my testimony as a good thing, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I'm not ashamed of the things I've been through because it's what brought me to Christ. And also, I feel like me telling my full testimony can help somebody who might be in the place that I once was in. So, yeah, I'm going to be sharing my full testimony today. Whew, I'm already nervous, man. I got the sweats. So I'm gonna start at the beginning. I grew up religious, I would say. I grew up Catholic, and that's like my religious background. I grew up going to church on Sundays, like going to Catholic Mass with my family. I grew up going to a little Catholic private school as well. And was raised to have a raised to believe in God. I wouldn't say that I was raised truly Christian, because I was not taught to read the Bible. I was not taught hardly anything about Jesus Christ. And I was not taught to have a personal relationship with the Lord. I didn't grow up Christian. I thought I did, but when you actually know Jesus, you kind of like realize that, oh, okay, I don't think I was actually Christian, because there's a huge difference in knowing the Lord and following the Lord than like going to church on Sunday and just believing in God. There's a huge difference. And so that's kind of my background. I grew up with belief in God, and my family is a mix. I have some of my family that believes in God, and then I have a few family members that actually know the Lord and are following him and pursuing him. And then I have some family members that are like atheists. So I have a mix of family. Mainly on my dad's side is the ones who have belief in God, and my dad raised me to have belief in God and to go to church on Sundays and to be the best person and be a good person as possible. I really give my dad credit for a lot of the reasons and the way that I am, the way that can't even get through this part without even messing it up. My dad's the reason that I kind of had the development that I did. Now, I grew up in a family of 4, so it was my dad, my mom, my older brother, and then me. I'm the youngest out of my family. Obviously, my family is no longer a family of 4 because my parents are divorced, but at this period in time, we were a family of 4. And so that was my religious background. I grew up with belief in God, and I grew up going to church on Sundays, going to Catholic school. Yeah, and I would say my family life was pretty good when I was really young. Things didn't start to get really bad until I was in middle school. So pretty normal, stable family life in my early childhood, I would say. And it wasn't until about 3rd grade that I got moved to the public school that I would go to from like 3rd grade till I graduated high school. And so, yeah, I just say, like I said, I had a pretty stable family life growing up at that age and in that young. And things didn't start to get really rocky and really terrible in my family life until about middle school. In middle school, my mom starts to become really addicted to alcohol, and not only alcohol, but pills as well. And this started to cause a lot of really bad stuff in my family life. This severed my relationship with my mom completely, and it severed my family. Addictions are terrible, and I wouldn't wish an addiction upon anyone or somebody to have a family member that's an addict, because it's just the worst. But starting around middle school is when my mom becomes extremely addicted to alcohol, pills as well. My mom would mix pills whenever she drank. And so my mom kind of always had a problem with alcohol, I would say, but it didn't start to get bad and really, really serious till I was in middle school. And I do have my notes here because I have so much that I want to cover in my testimony, and I don't want to miss anything. So forgive me, because I'm going to be looking off my notes when I talk about this as well, so I don't miss anything in my testimony. So because of my mom's addiction, I start to get put through a lot of traumatizing situations throughout middle school and high school. And I'm going to mention some of the instances that my mom put me through, just so you can get a perspective on how bad it was and how much stuff I get put through that causes me to have severe mental issues. And mental health is something that I still have to battle to this day because of some of the things my mom put me through. Because of my mom's addiction, and throughout middle school and high school, I start to get put through a lot of traumatizing situations. Some of these situations were my mom would pick me up drunk from school and then almost get us killed in a car wreck because she was driving drunk behind the wheel. My mom was a binge drinker, or is a binge drinker, and so a lot of the times my mom would binge drink and take pills as well, and then I was the one that my mom took it out on whenever she drank. I was my mom's main target, I would say, in her addiction. I was the one that my mom took it out on the most. Now, I'm not saying that my brother and my dad did not get any of the heat or lack back from my mom's addiction, because they got their own stuff from my mom, but even both my brother and my dad agree with me that I got put through the most because of my mom's addiction. And so I was really, in my family, I was always the nice one. I was the sweet one. I was the loving one. I was the forgiving one. And my mom knew this about me, so my mom took advantage of me majority of the time. Because of my heart, my mom always chose to take it out on me. Also, I was very passive. I didn't fight back. And I love my mom. My mom knew that, and my mom really used that to her advantage. And so, yeah, I was the one who got put through the most in my mom's addiction. And when my mom got drunk, I was typically her target, or the person that she wanted to take it out on or did not like. My mom put me through a lot of high stress and high anxiety situations in both middle school and high school. Whenever my mom would get drunk, she would get pretty verbally abusive. My mom would always tell me things whenever she got drunk, like, you're not pretty, or you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're anorexic, or just things that were just really tough to take in. as a teenager, because when you're at that age, you're very vulnerable and you're very emotional, and I took a lot of the words my mom said to heart, and it caused me to have really low self-esteem in high school, and always causing myself to like beat myself up and not have a good relationship with myself. My mom would also tell me things like she'd rather have the alcohol than me as her daughter. My mom would even like threaten to suffocate me in the middle of the night. Or my mom would tell me things like, I brought you into this world so I can take you out if I want to. So basically my mom telling me that she can kill me because she's the one who birthed me. Not exactly a great motherly figure, I would say. And there's even a point where it got... I'm sorry guys, I'm talking fast because talking about this stuff brings up really bad anxiety in me, and when I have anxiety, I kind of talk fast or I sweat a lot. Because this is, even to this day, this is still hard for me to talk about, and it's something I've still had to work through in therapy. But yeah, no, there was even a point where it got so bad in my mom's addiction that my mom came over to our house, and my parents were still married, but we were kind of like living separately. My mom wasn't living with us because I wasn't comfortable with my mom being in the house. I even expressed that to my dad, that I don't feel safe whenever she's in the house. And so my dad, out of respect for me, made sure my mom did not live with us, even though we are still trying to be a family. And my mom came over for like a family dinner night during a school week. And me and my brother come home from school, and my mom happens to show up to this family dinner night drunk and on pills. She mixed Xanax while she was drinking. And my parents get into a really bad argument because my dad was really upset that my mom showed up to our family night drunk, and they get into a pretty heated argument. And my mom ended up like pulling a gun on my dad. So high school was really rough. I don't associate high school with good times. I kind of associate high school with like some of the darkest times in my life. And I've tried to leave my high school days behind me because of like all the stuff I got put through in my mom's addiction. And yeah, my high school life was not pretty by any means. At least my family life was not pretty. The things that my mom put me through caused me to develop a lot of issues, like a lot of mental health issues. I ended up having like severe anxiety in high school. I was always afraid to come home. I never knew what my mom was gonna do or put me through. My mom always had really erratic and unpredictable behavior, so I was like always on edge when I was in high school. I was always nervous, very bad anxiety. It also caused me to have very bad social anxiety, and it was difficult for me to interact with my peers at school because I was going through so much behind closed doors that I was very guarded. It was difficult to become my friend or to get to know me because I was so on edge from the things my mom put me through that like I was probably purely on survival mode in high school. I probably didn't come across as the greatest person, especially my last year, because of the things I was getting put through. But yeah, so a lot of really bad rocky stuff in middle school and high school because my mom's addiction. In high school as well, my mom was in and out of jail and in and out of rehab homes. My mom was in and out of sober living homes. There was times too where my mom would just like pack up her stuff and be gone for, we didn't know how long, for a week, 2 months. It just depended. Yeah, and I just got put through a lot of very traumatic stuff in high school that I would never wish upon any teenager. You know, teenagers need to be worried about prom and their crush, or, you know, schoolwork and college. And I was worried for my life majority of the days when I was in high school. And, I had such bad anxiety. I don't think any teenager should have to have that severe anxiety or be afraid of coming home to their house or being afraid of their life, especially not being afraid of their mom. I mean, like, moms are supposed to be the ones who protect their kids from danger. Moms are the first person to protect their kids from danger. And my mom was the one who put me in danger. Oh, I don't want to cry. I know this video is going to be really tough for me, and I might do a lot of crying, and I'm trying not to because I did my makeup for this video. Talking about my mom is still really hard, even to this day. Oh my gosh. Don't cry, Aubrey. Don't cry. So yeah, high school was really rough. And so back to my testimony. So because of the things my mom put me through in her addiction, I end up developing a lot of mental health issues in high school, and especially towards the end of high school. I end up developing severe anxiety, social anxiety, and depression. It was very difficult for me to be around people unless I felt safe around the person. If they were like family or family friends, I would be more myself and be more social. But if it was like people at my school or anyone else, I was very closed off to. And it wasn't like I was closed off because I was being mean. I was closed off because I was scared. And I've always had a shy personality. It takes you a minute to kind of get me to open up, and then once I know you enough or I feel safe around you enough, I'm a completely different person. But this was like to the extreme. This wasn't just my normal shy. This was like me terrified of like everyone and just having severe anxiety. And it had nothing to do with other people, but because of the things I was put through, my mental health was just shot at that point. And so everything kind of comes to a hilt in the month of December of 2019. And this month is pivotal in my testimony because this is the month where the seed gets planted. The seed of faith gets planted, and I first get introduced to Jesus Christ. So December 2019, things are really bad at home, and I'm kind of at wit's end, and I'm looking for somebody safe to talk to. And I tried looking for somebody at my school who like seemed like a safe person and wouldn't like go telling everyone at my school like what I was going through behind closed doors. And there was a particular person in my school that I looked up to since like middle school, and I thought, this guy seems really safe. He looks like somebody who won't go telling everyone about what I'm going through. And so I tried to, and I also liked the guy for quite some time from afar. And so I ended up like trying to see if I could make a relationship with this person or become friends with this person in any way, just to talk to this person, because I thought this might be somebody who can help me out. But I ended up getting pretty shot down and kind of got my heart a little broken. And that wasn't their fault. And so I kind of just felt like at wit's end after that, and like I lost all hope that I could find anyone that would help me or that I could just confide in without being judged or them go telling people all this kind of like embarrassing stuff or just traumatic stuff my mom was putting me through. And at this point, my dad ends up filing for divorce against my mom. So addiction had completely severed my family and taken away what should have been a mom for me. And so I'm just my most broken and lowest at the end of this month. And this is kind of like the first time I feel like I cry out to God, and I'm just like crying my eyes out to sleep almost every night, and I don't understand why. And I'm struggling so badly that I'm just desperate. And God answers my prayers and was looking out for me before I even truly knew him and was walking with him. Because my best friend Jaden and my big sister in Christ to this day ends up coming back into my life. And me and Jaden go way back. Jaden and me were friends in pre-K and in Catholic private school before I got moved to public school. And she ends up having this urge to search me up and find out what I'm doing. And Jaden ends up finding my Instagram after looking up my name. She follows me on Instagram and basically DMs me. She was like, oh my gosh, like, Aubrey, we were best friends in private school when we were kids. Like, our parents knew each other. I used to come over to your house all the time. Like, it's Jaden. Do you remember me? And she also started to open about a lot of the things going on in her family life. She's like, I'm going through a really hard time right now. Like, my dad's an alcoholic, so I'm getting put through a lot of really bad stuff. She also mentioned that her parents were getting a divorce and that she was struggling at her school, and she felt very outcasted at her high school, and like she didn't have any friends or a friend group at her school. And I was like, girl, you're speaking my language, because I'm going through the same thing but in different context. And so Jaden ends up coming over to my house for New Year's Eve weekend, and immediately when Jaden walks to the door, we just click. She and me just mesh together very well. She is one of the most close godly friendships I have in my life, even to this day. And this is so pivotal because Jaden ends up being the one who plants the seed of faith for me. Jaden is the one who introduces me to Jesus Christ. And so Jaden ends up coming to my house, and we start to talk, and we end up really hitting it off. And Jaden just seems so happy, even though she's going through the same things as me. She's just laughing and constantly like making me laugh, and she just still had this happy-go-lucky spirit, even though she was getting put through so much. And it kind of intrigued me. I was kind of like curious, because I'm like, wait a second, like, we're going through the same things, and like, I'm not okay. I'm a hot mess. Like, I'm breaking down crying every single day. Have such bad anxiety, and I'm struggling to handle all this pressure at such a young age. And I'm like, how are you so, we're going through the same things, yet you're so happy? I don't understand. And you just seem to have so much peace. Like, you're not anxious about any of your family life or what's going to happen between your parents or, your dad or this and that. And this is where Jaden ends up introducing me to Jesus Christ. Now, Jaden grew up actually Christian. Jaden didn't just grow up religious. She grew up with a very devout Christian mom. Her mom is a woman of God. I love her mom so much. And her mom raised her to know the Lord and to read the Bible and how to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And she was just taught about Jesus. And so Jaden ends up talking to me about Jesus. And this whole time Jaden's talking to me about Jesus, I just have this utmost peace. Like, all the anxiety and all the depression went away for that entire hour-long conversation where she was just talking to me about the Lord, and her relationship with God, and how she's having so much peace in the midst of this. And it kind of just really intrigued me. And so that's where the seed of faith gets planted for me. And again, like I said, I was religious before Jesus, so I had belief in God. I was going to church on Sunday, every Sunday, and I had certain morals and standards that I was living my life by. Like, I was not going to have sex before marriage, was never going to sleep around. I never was going to go to a party. I never partied in high school, not in college, never went to a party. That's just not me. Never drank, never smoked, never vaped. I made the decision at like 16 that I was never going to ever touch a substance, whether it was legal or not. I kind of have a hatred, or not a hatred, but I don't like substances because it reminds me of my mom and the things my mom put me through, or I view substances as that's the thing that took away my mom. So I've never had any urge in me to drink, so I've never drank. I'm 21 and I've still never had a sip of alcohol, and I don't ever intend to. I would rather have an energy drink than any sort of alcohol. And so I lived my life by all these rules, and I tried to uphold myself as the most still humble and modest, and living by certain moral, and I still had morals even before Jesus, and standards of how I wanted to live my life by. But even if you go to church on Sundays, even if you have the certain rules that you follow, because I guess I was kind of biased, and I had a Catholic Bible before I became Christian and actually read the Bible, but I realized I was kind of biased because of the religion before Christ, because it's like, before Jesus, you know, there's certain things that I struggled with, or I didn't adhere to, like we're supposed to forgive when somebody hurts us, and it's very difficult for me to forgive when I've been wronged. So I still wasn't all the way there yet. I still hadn't had the Lord in my heart, or hadn't really had a personal relationship with the Lord and was following him. And in the gospel, it's more about the heart. And so but that's where the seed of faith gets planted for me. Jaden was the one who planted that seed for me. So moving on from this, my last year of high school, I was the most broken. From my last year of high school to the beginnings of college, I was the most broken version of myself I've ever met. My last year of high school was not good. Any light that I had left, any sort of happiness or joy, got completely snuffed out after December 2019. I was very depressed. I had severe anxiety and severe social anxiety. It was difficult for me to speak to anyone that wasn't family. I didn't want to be around anyone that wasn't family or a family friend. Or there was one person at my school, and I hope she doesn't mind if I mention her name, Amalia. I was really good friends with her when I was in high school, and I still try to keep up with her to this day. She was like one of the only other people that I was very comfortable talking with, because I didn't feel judged by her, and she was one of the genuine friends I did have when I was in high school. But other than that, I was not about speaking to other people. And it wasn't me intentionally trying to be a jerk and like, oh, I'm not going to talk to y'all, because it was like, I'm not okay up in here, and I'm so anxious and on edge that I'm going to snap at you without even meaning to, because I'm not okay. So I try to keep my distance from others, because I was not okay by any means. And I was struggling so bad with my mental health that I was having suicidal thoughts my last year of high school. It took everything in me not to take my life at 17 years old, because I had such low self-esteem and such low self-worth because of the things my mom put me through, or what my mom said to me. My mom, the words my mom would tell me really stuck in my head, and ended up developing this low self-worth in me. My mom, would always tell me that I'm not pretty, or that I'm ugly, or all these words just to tear me down. And at that age, I took it very personally. And so I was very insecure about my appearance. My last year of high school, I changed my hair like 3 times that year, because I never felt pretty, because my mom didn't think I was. And so no matter what I did, I never felt like I was enough. And all I ever wanted was my mom's approval and my mom's affection. And my mom really taught me in our relationship that love is conditional. Love is earned. It's not given. You have to be the way I want you to be, or the daughter that I want, in order to gain any approval or love or affection from me. And that's not how love works. That's just pure manipulation, I've realized now. Love is unconditional. Like, what I've learned from Jesus is that love is a free gift without any expectation in return. But I was so young at the time, I didn't know what real love was like. And all I ever wanted was my mom to love me. So I was willing to do anything that she deemed just to gain some sort of a little bit of affection or a little bit of love or approval I could from my mom. And so I just had such low self-worth because I just felt like nobody wanted me, and not even my own mom wanted me. And so I was struggling a lot with my self-worth, and so it took everything in me that year not to take my life, because I was just like that low and didn't deem myself worthy of love. And it was difficult for me. I pushed any sort of affection away because I viewed affection as a threat. So a lot of times when people were overly nice to me or overly sweet, I'd be like, okay, like, what do you want? Like, tell me, buddy, because I don't get why you're being nice to me. I don't understand it. And that again stems from my relationship with my mom, because I thought that, you know, sometimes people just want to be nice to you because they just want to be nice to you. But my mom had like used me so much that I would like turn an edge when people would try to be nice to me. I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand. What do you want? Like, what are you trying to gain from me? And I've had to work on that as well. But so I was very low that year. Severe social anxiety. I was difficult for me to talk to anyone that was not related to me. And my dad ends up becoming so important in this part of my life, because when I feel my utmost low and like nobody wants me, nobody cares, nobody really wants to talk to me or be my friend, it seemed like, my dad ends up becoming the biggest light in my darkest times, because my dad was the only person that like showed me how much he wanted me and how much he loved me. My relationship with my dad is basically what saved me my last year of high school. And my dad ends up becoming the reason that I chose not to commit suicide that year. You know, they say give yourself a reason, and Scott became my reason. And Scott is my dad. So when I say Scott, I'm referring to my father. That's his name. And so Scott became my reason not to end my life, because I was in such a low place from what my mom had said and done to me, that I had like the most low self-esteem, that I just didn't deem myself worthy of anything. And my dad, you know, kind of became my best friend, and my dad overly showered me with love and affection. And my dad would like come by my school and pull me out of class just so like he could get a hug from me to finish his day, or if I needed a hug from him because I couldn't make it through my day. And so my relationship with my father kind of really saved me that year, and my relationship with my dad kind of foreshadows my relationship with God. And I remember that year just like thinking, just keep your eyes on Scott and you're going to be fine. Like, in the midst of drowning, I kept my eyes on my dad, because that's what kept me from sinking completely. And I remember my anxiety was so bad that all I ever wanted to be was around my dad. That's the only person I ever wanted to be around, or the person I was always running to, because Scott was the person that cared when my heart got broken. You know, a lot of times I felt so used by my mom, and when she hurt me, she didn't care. She never apologized. She never felt guilty. She never showed any signs of remorse. And my dad, and even people at school, a lot of the times they knew me because of my personality, and so they'd be like, oh, Aubrey will just forgive you. Or, oh, Aubrey's just a sweetheart, so like, it'll be fine. And people would walk over me purposely because they knew my heart. So it got to a point where my heart got hardened my last year of high school, and I'm like, no, I'm done with that. I'm done with people walking me over. I'm done with everyone messing with me because I'm the nice girl. Like, I was so over it and so drained at that point. And the only person that I was really reciprocative to was my dad, because my dad was the only person that seemed like he cared when my heart got broken. And before Jesus, I did not know how to guard my heart where I could love others without my heart getting hurt in the process. I would just hand out my heart on a platter and it gets smashed. And I'm like, ouch, that hurt. I'm still a person, hey. And people would just because I was always known as the nice one and the forgiving one, they thought that they could just hurt me and it wouldn't affect me. And so my dad was the only one that cared when my heart got broken. Like, if my dad hurt me, he would cry because he cared that much about me, that he didn't want to hurt me, and it would hurt him to hurt me. And so anytime my heart got hurt, my dad, he was the only one that ever apologized. That if he did anything that may have, like, even if he snapped at me when he was having a bad day, he would apologize. Like, my dad was the only person that cared about my heart and my heart getting hurt when nobody else did. And so my dad was kind of like the person that was the only person I wanted to be around, because I was so heartbroken from everyone else and my mom that I was like, this is the only person that cares about me. Like, the only person that cares about my heart. And so my dad was the only one that I ever really wanted to give my heart to after getting it so smashed by just, I felt like everyone in my life. And even my dad, my dad's not perfect. My dad's hurt my heart. That's just how relationships work. In any relationship, you're bound to get hurt a little bit. But my dad cared when I got hurt, and he would come to me and apologize. Or my dad did not want to hurt me, and he would show me that he cared. And so my dad was the only one that kind of earned my respect and my approval, because, like, this man cares when my heart gets hurt. He doesn't, and so I really clung onto my dad my last year of high school, and he became my everything. And because of this, my dad became the reason that I chose not to end my life at 17, because I felt like my dad was the only one that wanted me when I felt so outcasted at my high school and unwanted by my peers and unwanted by my mom, and just felt like the lowest of low. Scott showed me that I was his everything when I felt like nothing. And so my dad just became my world at that point, and he's the one who got me through it. Scott was the person that anytime anything went south, guess who I went running to? My heart get broken by a guy, only happened once. Ran straight to my dad. Somebody, did something mean to me at school, straight to my dad. My dad always had wide open arms, and he was the one who always picked up the pieces when somebody had broken me. When my mom had done something to me, Scott was the person to fix it and put me back together. And so Scott was the person that I lived for, and basically that I chose to live for, because it felt like nobody else cared except for my dad when I got hurt or when my heart got broken. And so Scott kind of just became my world after that. And in my lowest time, my dad became my reason to live. And I thought things couldn't get worse, and I thought, if I have my dad, everything's going to be all right, and I'm going to make it through this. But it was like 2 to 3 days before my 18th birthday, and my dad had to sit me down for a serious conversation, and my dad knew about this, and he didn't want to tell me because he already knew how bad I was doing, and he didn't want this to push me over the edge. But right before my 18th birthday, literally like 2 days, my dad sat me down and was like, basically told me his diagnosis of cancer, and the tumor had completely eaten up his kidney. And my dad was having conversations with me about like where the will was, and that my mom was taken out of the will, so she would no longer be a part of this. He told me he already had conversations with my brother about what he wanted to happen with the farm, because my family is a farming family. My dad's a farmer. It's a generational thing that, gets passed down throughout the kids, and my brother, it was going to get passed down to my brother. And if my dad was to go, he was having conversations about what my brother was to do and how he wanted me to pay for college and all these other things, which I did have a few scholarships at the time, but and my dad was like talking to me about like lawyers and everything he wanted to happen if cancer took him out. And this felt like somebody had just ripped the rug from underneath my feet. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I already went through so much with my mom that I am not okay this year. I've done everything to just survive this year. And now you're telling me I'm going to lose not only the other parent, and I'm not even 18 yet, but Scott was so much more than a parent to me. Scott was everything to me at that time. That man was the thing that held me together. That was the person that I went running to. That was my rock. So if I lost my dad, I was like, I lose everything. Down the drain, like it's gone. If I lose Scott, there's nothing to keep me from committing because I can't do this anymore. And I cannot do it without him. And so into high school was really bad. And I was completely on survival mode that year from everything my mom put me through. So yeah, that was really bad. And I didn't get to attend any of my high school graduation events that weren't mandatory. I only attended the rehearsal and the graduation itself because my family life was so screwed up that I did not have the energy or the time to do anything that wasn't pertained to my family. And I wasn't going to show up to school my 18th birthday, but I didn't want to sit home and cry all day because I was such an emotional wreck. All I did was cry. So I mustered up the courage to like do my makeup and do my hair and show up to school somewhat nicely dressed on my 18th birthday and just like be strong and hold myself through it. But I probably broke down 60 times my 18th birthday. I probably cried. Any chance I got to go to the girls' restroom and cry, I did. Every passing class period, I'd go to the girls' restroom and break down crying because I just couldn't hold it together. And I would ask teachers to excuse myself to the restroom and then go break down crying. It was really bad my 4th period class because that teacher sang for me. That teacher sang for my birthday and it made me want to break down hysterically because I asked him not to sing. And I know he was being supportive and sweet and he just wanted to sing to show it was my birthday. He was trying to be a sweet teacher. But I didn't want anyone to sing because I knew it was going to make me break down crying because I didn't want it to be my birthday. I did not want to turn 18 if I wasn't going to have Scott to live it with me. I felt like it was such a joke. Like, here I turned to become an adult and there goes the other parent. Like, this probably knowing my luck, this is probably going to be the last birthday I have a parent present. And I just turned 18. Like, I was just a kid. This stuff is still hard to talk about. I'm like 21 and this stuff still hits. But yeah, no, my 18th birthday was very emotional. I didn't want it to be my birthday. So I was not doing well. Ended up graduating high school and my dad had to go for a major surgery because the tumor had completely eaten up his kidney and we didn't know what we were going to do if it spread to the other kidney. So my dad ended up having to go to a hospital, actually MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. My dad ended up having to go there for a major surgery to get this tumor removed. And I was not doing mentally well that summer or the beginning of college. I ended up getting thrusted up to college way before I'm ready, and I'm struggling severely with my mental health. I was very depressed, and I was breaking down crying all the time, or I was just numb and depressed. I had severe anxiety and severe social anxiety. I would not leave the apartment that me and my brother were in, or the little townhome that me and my brother were in, unless I had to. I would go to class and go to work and do anything that was necessary, but other than that, I never went out. And I'm not a party person. I never partied in college. That's just not for me. I don't drink, and I have really bad social anxiety, so being around big crowds of people is a lot of stimulation, and I'll have panic attacks because of the things my mom put me through. Lots of stimulation can still trigger me. I've gotten a lot better about it today, but when I was in the beginnings of college, I was not okay. I would go only to big events if I had somebody with me, like my brother or my dad, and I would just stick around them. I was like their little shadow. I wouldn't leave their side because I had such bad anxiety. I end up coming home in December of 21, and my dad is extremely worried about me. And my brother is too at this point. And my dad wants me to seek help. My dad's like, we need to get you to see a psychologist because this is not okay. And I don't want my daughter to do something to herself. I don't want to lose my daughter. So we got to get you some help. And so I end up going to see a psychologist. And then I get referred to a psychiatrist to get put on medications for mental health because it was that bad. I got put on like 3 different medications at the end of 2021. I was put on meds for depression, meds for anxiety, meds for panic attacks because I was having severe panic attacks. I would run out of the college classroom and have a panic attack and pass out in the girls' bathroom at school. I would run out to my car and have a panic attack and break down in my car crying, not knowing what's wrong with me, feeling like I'm having a heart attack. And I never wish panic attacks upon my worst enemy because they are just like the devil. They feel like you're having a heart attack, and it's not. Your mind is playing tricks on you, and it's giving you physical symptoms. And so I ended up getting put on a bunch of meds. My dad ended up coming with me to my psychiatrist appointment. I get put on like 3 different medications, and start those medications in 2022. And 2022 is when I really go downhill. I'm on these medications, and it did help me to not be so depressed. I wasn't happy. I wasn't joyful. I had like no joy hardly. I was always sad. And I feel like I was a bum around people, because I could just never be happy, and I just couldn't do it. I did not have any joy or any happiness, I'd smile for pictures, but I was never smiling on the inside. And so, but the depression meds did help me be normal, where I wasn't so low that it was terrible. They helped me to be at a normal, stable level where I could be just neutral. And also the anxiety meds did help. It helped me a lot better. But on these medications, I lost my appetite. It was very difficult for me to eat food. I ended up developing a severe eating disorder because of these medications. I completely lose my appetite because I'm so pumped up on meds that I don't have an appetite, and I was not eating properly. And I didn't really notice it at first. It kind of just I never got hungry. I never had an appetite. And so I started to lose weight really quickly, and I was already at a healthy weight. I was already lean and at a healthy BMI. I didn't need to lose any weight. But I end up losing weight quickly. And at this point, I still have my belief in God. I'm still going to church on Sundays. I'm still have belief in God, but I'm not quite there yet. And so I end up losing a bunch of weight, and I come home in the summer of 2022, and all my family sees me, and they're shocked because I am skinny, and not healthy skinny by any means. My collarbones were sticking through my shoulders, and I was very malnourished. There were dark circles under my eyes. When I didn't have makeup on, my face is very sunken in. I have a round kid face, a chubby face, I would say. I've always had a round face, but my cheeks were completely sunken in. I was always cold all the time. I was wearing a Carhartt black hoodie and Levi jeans in the middle of Texas heat. That's how bad it was. It was terrible. And I remember my brother and my dad being very worried about me. Everyone that was my family was worried about me. And were trying to get me to eat. And girls can pick up on eating disorders way before guys can. And so my aunt and my grandma immediately sniffed it out and were worried about me and telling my dad, you gotta watch her and make sure she eats. I don't think Aubrey's eating properly. or taking care of herself, and my dad ends up watching me and then realizes I'm not really eating and I'm not taking care of myself, and my dad ends up having an intervention with me that summer. My dad kind of sits me down. So yeah, college was not fun, and after that summer I end up going back to college, and at this point I start transitioning to online classes, and we had the option because of COVID to transfer online if we didn't want to be in person anymore, and I started to slowly transfer my classes online because the anxiety was so bad. Even on meds, I just couldn't be in person anymore at school. It was just too much for me. And so I go back to college and I'm not doing well. I'm still struggling. I'm not feeling myself properly. My dad sort of motivated me to start eating when I was home that summer, but when I went back to college, I was right back to where I was not feeding myself properly, just didn't even think about it because I just didn't have an appetite. And this is the part that gets really emotional to me because we get close to 2023 and I end up getting hospitalized because I'm on the brinks of heart failure because of this eating disorder. And this part, I don't know if I want to share all the detail because this part is very emotional for me. But basically, I get hospitalized because I'm having heart failure, because I'm not eating properly. And I end up getting admitted to the hospital where I almost lost my life because of this eating disorder. And this eating disorder almost took me out. And I ended up getting hospitalized. My brother and my dad received the call because my neighbors saw them putting me into the ambulance. And my brother and my dad knew I was getting taken to the hospital, but they didn't know what it was. Ended up getting admitted to the hospital. They had to hook me up to a bunch of things, and they ended up having to put like a feeding tube through me because I was not eating properly, and I was in the hospital because of that. And that's where Jesus found me. I end up feeling God's presence for the very first time in that hospital. I remember the feeling, I remember feeling like all the pain was getting sucked out of me. I remember feeling like all the pain of my mom's addiction and my dad getting sick, and everything I got put through was just getting sucked out of me. And I just remember feeling Jesus for the very first time. And God was there, just taking it all out. This part's really emotional for me, I'm sorry. But this part is still difficult for me to talk about in detail, because it still hits to this day. But yeah, no, I have an encounter with Christ in the hospital where I should have lost my life. And then even after all of that, I just remember sitting there, and I had to stay, obviously. They had a feeding tube put through my nose, and they had a bunch of me hooked up to a bunch of things. They had me hooked up to an ECKG and a bunch of other stuff because I was on the brinks of heart failure. So, but I remember that. I do remember my encounter with Christ. I just remember God was taking out all the pain and just taking all the anxiety away and all the depression and everything that I got put through at such a young age. And even though I was by myself in the hospital, I felt so much peace. I didn't feel alone. Like, I just felt so safe. For the very first time, I had no anxiety. I just felt peace, and I felt safe. Like, I felt Jesus with me in that hospital. I didn't want to go to any eating disorder facility because it's like I wanted to get better on my own. So, I ended up getting released from the hospital, and this is close to like March to May of 2023 where I come home. End up transferring all my college classes online at this point because I was just like, I just wanted to go home to my dad's. And I called my dad, and I wasn't ready to tell my dad, like, the full detail of, like, what happened in that hospital. I just wasn't ready. But my dad kind of knew I was in the hospital for my eating disorder, but he didn't know how bad it was. Ended up packing all my stuff, and going home in March of 2023. I ended up going home I called my dad, and I was like, I transferred all my college classes online, like, can I come home? Like, I need to come home. And my dad kind of knew after that, I wasn't okay in the hospital, and he was like, yeah, of course, baby girl, you can always come home. This is always your home. So I ended up going home to my dad's. And I went home to my dad's to kind of recover and get better. I ended up ordering my first Bible, which I ordered a King James Version Bible. I wouldn't do that if I was you. You kind of want to start with a Christian Standard one if you're new or a new believer. I ended up coming home, ordering a Bible. Still wasn't ready to talk to my dad about that stuff. He was kind of questioning, like, why I was home and a lot of things, but I just was not ready to be truthful with my father at that point. End up close to May of 2023, my best friend Jaden, she's a devout Christian. She had a really bad gut feeling about me. I guess, like, the Holy Spirit kind of, like, gave her a feeling, but Jaden had a really bad gut feeling about me. And she ended up, like, telling her mom, like, I haven't talked to Aubrey in forever. Like, I'm just worried about her. She's never reached out. And she's like, I just want to pray over her mom because I have a really bad gut feeling about Aubrey. And so her and her mom ended up praying over me. And then Jaden and me ended up reaching out at the same time in May of 2023. I ended up reaching out to Jaden right as she was going to reach out to me. And, Jaden was kind of like, call me crazy, but I have a really bad gut feeling about you, and I just want to make sure you're okay. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not okay. I almost just died, so I'm not okay. And kind of told Jaden that, I just gave my life to Christ in March of 2023, and Jaden immediately packed all her stuff. She got a study Bible that she had bought recently and her Bible, and she rushed down to my dad's house. Jaden ended up coming through the house and, like, coming to spend, like, a week with me, and she was like, it was her. And so she ended up coming down in May of 2023 to my dad's house, and kind of busted through the door and brought all her stuff, and then went to my room and had her Bibles, and she's like, tell me everything. I need you to spill everything. And Jaden was the only person I felt safe enough to reveal what the frick just I went through and what the frick just happened to me. And so I ended up telling Jaden everything. My whole spiel, the whole testimony, almost losing my life to heart failure, ending up in the hospital, and then having my encounter with Christ. And Jaden, I cry, and then she cried, and then she was pissed at me because she was like, Aubrey, if you're dying, you call someone. You don't stay in the hospital by yourself. You don't scare me like that. That's not funny. And she was really mad at me, which I give her that. And she was like, you are so stubborn, Aubrey Ordner. Like, you won't let anyone help you or anyone in your heart. Like, you need to get over that. And so she was angry at me because she loves me, but she was pissed at me. She was really angry, and she was like, I would have been there. I would have helped you. I would have come to the hospital. Like, what the frick is wrong with you? And you didn't think you could call me. Like, I wouldn't have been there. Like, no matter what's going on. And so, we hash it out. And then Jaden, of course, hugs me and just, like, was so happy because, of course, Jaden wanted me to come to Christ. She'd been praying for this for years. And so Jaden ends up, like, giving me a study Bible. And then she has her Bible. And at this point, Jaden ends up putting me on a fast. And I talk about my convictions with Jaden. Like, I felt like I needed to delete Instagram and all my social media. And there's nothing bad on my social media. There's something bad on my social media even before Christ, but I just felt like the old Aubrey's gone. I don't even want to see a picture. Like, I'm like a new creation in Christ. And also I wanted to take down all social media to like fully focus on the Lord. So Jaden and me end up deleting my social media in May of 2023. We deleted my Instagram. We deleted my Snapchat, which I never use Snapchat. I only sent memes to like my brother on there. So and every other social media app, I deleted it all. From then on out, I was on this fast, and Jaden had me on this fast where the only thing I read that was not related to my school or my college classes was the Bible. And I read this thing any free chance I got. Like, I would have my set times in the morning when I first woke up and when I went right before I went to bed, but I would still read it any spare time I had. Like, if I'd been in my car waiting for an appointment, or if I was with my dad, you know, helping him out with his job, I would have my Bible constantly with me, and any free time I had, I was reading it, because I was just like, I had just come to Christ and I was that broken, but I was that hungry for the Word of God. Like, it was, and I didn't listen to any music that was not Christian music. Like, from 2023, in May of 2023, I basically told God, like, I give the rest of this year to you. The rest of 2023 is all about you. So I deleted every social media app I had. I only listened to Christian music. I made so many playlists on my Spotify and only listened to music that was Christian. I only watched entertainment that was Christian. I did not watch any movies or any TV shows or any cartoons that weren't Christian, which is very surprising for me because I love Tom and Jerry and I love like my old cartoons like Looney Tunes. If anyone knows me, they know that about me, that I love my old cartoons, but I even gave that up. I did not watch anything that was not related to Jesus. At this point, I ended up going plant-based because of reading Genesis and in the Bible of how we ate before the fall. I ended up transitioning to a plant-based diet. I wouldn't say I'm vegan because vegan is like a purely ethical reason, and I don't have a problem with people eating meat or that. I just wanted to eat primarily plant-based because of like trying to recover from an eating disorder, and my therapist thought, and my psychologist thought that'd be a great idea to help me gain healthy weight and get back on track. But yeah, from that point out, everything I did was about Christ. Everything, from the clothes I wore to the necklaces I wore to the music I listened to the movies I watched. Only read the Bible unless it was college classes. That's different. Everything I did from May of 2023 till December of 2023 was all about Jesus. I ended up joining my first ever Bible study group that was non-denominational, and ended up joining my first non-denominational church. But yeah, so, and then after all that and like fully on fire for Christ, by the end of 2023, I had it put on my heart to start this channel, to start a YouTube channel for God, and also had it on my heart to go back to social media, to go back to Instagram, and re-download it and like basically share my story. And also there's a couple of people from my past, anyone who may have gotten hurt or their heart hurt from what I was going through, I owed them an apology. So try to reach out or follow anyone that I owed an apology to for maybe accidentally hurting their heart because of what I was going through. And yeah, and now I'm fully living for the Lord. Everything I do is for Him, and fully dedicated my life to Jesus Christ. Read my Bible every day, apply scripture to life, and I've never been I'm back to myself. I feel like God has brought Aubrey back, if that makes any sense. I feel like the version of me that I was when I was a kid, you know? And also throughout 2022 to 20, and also throughout 2023, I ended up shredding 2 Bibles. Like, I was so on fire for God and desperate for the Word of God because I've been through so much that I was just so loving it that I ended up, like, shredding and breaking 2 Bibles. And my best friend, Jaden, she's been a Christian her whole life, and she's like, gosh dang, you're making me feel bad. You're motivating me because you just came to Christ and you're way more knowledgeable and you're doing all this stuff, and I feel like a piece of, like, crap compared to you because your relationship with God is so strong. But it's like, dude, I've been through hell. If you've been through hell, I think you'll appreciate heaven a little bit more than somebody who's always known heaven or always known Christ. So it's like, I just, after all the pain and all the stuff I got put through, it's like, you have no idea how much this means to me. And, yeah, no, now I'm just fully living for the Lord, doing as I can. But I feel like God really brought me back to life. You know, the Aubrey that I was when I was a little kid, like, she's back. Like, all the old stuff I used to love before, you know, got changed throughout high school. Or, also, I've decided to probably I don't know, I'm not fully there on this decision, but I've kind of decided never to dye my hair again because I'm trying to love the features that God gave me. And so trying to grow out my natural hair back, which that's my natural hair color. And I lost a lot of my hair because of my eating disorder, and I had to wear extensions for a period of time because whenever you don't eat, you lose hair. Sucks, but it's true. But my worth is not in hair or what I look like anymore. My worth is in Christ and what he says about me. So yeah, now I'm just, like, fully living for the Lord, and that's my full testimony of how I became a Christian, how I came to Jesus Christ. Oh, this video is going to be long. It's probably going to take me a long time to edit because I've talked so much, but there's so much in my testimony. And even then, I probably missed out so much detail. But yeah, and so now I live for the Lord. I live for the Lord, and never been the same. I will say, though, 2025 has been kind of beating me down. 2023, top tier. Aubrey was on fire for the Lord at that point. I was doing great. 2024, okay, we're still going at it. We're getting hit a little bit because, you know, you have to hit rocky waters. But, and in 2025, this year's been kind of beating me down a bit. I've been kind of like, what the frick, Lord? Like, this year's not been the greatest. I mean, I'm glad I'm alive, but still. But yeah, so that's my full testimony. I don't have much to say. I love each and every single one of you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.